the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Get on the Mic. That's where you put me in front of a microphone with a few notes and I talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened throughout the week or whatever else I feel like talking about. Before I begin, you guys have probably wondered that last week I didn't add the DNA Digital Network information at the beginning of the podcast, and I wanted to address that. I didn't add that to the beginning of the podcast because the DNA Digital Network is no longer a thing. Dennis, the guy that runs it, he decided he didn't feel it was growing enough and he decided to go ahead and dissolve it. And we talked and we agreed that that was okay. We were kind of on an honor system. We had never exchanged any money. Dennis and I still talk. There's nothing wrong. He just felt that, the whole thing as a group wasn't growing fast enough and we were okay with that. We decided, Bill and I, and with the GB3 network and his page and my page, we were just going to do our own thing on YouTube for right now. I'm not sure if we're going to try to get back on iTunes or anything like that. I think both of us right now, with everything that we've got going on in our lives, and then trying to do this is kind of just our hobby, we're okay with just being on network or on YouTube right now. So, like I said, Dennis and I, there's no hard feelings. Neither of us were angry. We just decided that, unless something else starts up, we're not doing the partnership together. That being said, I would work with Dennis in the future. We actually tried to record. We were going to do a before and after WrestleMania program, where we recorded the before and had issues with the recording, and it was a mess. And it ended up not airing, but we actually had decent chemistry together and we had a good time doing it and everything. So we've talked about doing some things in the future. I'm not sure what plans he has. I know he's going to be trying to do some projects. I think he wants to do something with wrestling. I haven't talked with him in a week or so I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. But he's going to be doing some stuff. So if I find out what he's doing, I'll share with you guys here what he's doing so you guys can check him out. Him and a friend of his do a show, or we're doing a show, and I think they still are, called the Functioning Drunks Podcast. He's got that out there, and I believe he's got a YouTube channel and all that stuff. Like I said, I'm not really sure what exactly he's doing podcast wise now, but I know he's going to be getting into something. And again, I loved working with him while we did. But sometimes projects don't work out, and that's okay. Like I said, there was no real issues or anger or anything like that. It was all mutual, and I got nothing but respect for Dennis. He did a great job for us while he was doing it, but everything just didn't work out the way we kind of hoped it would. So we're just going to kind of do our own thing. So anyway, that's all about the DNA Digital Network. Today on the show, got a lot to talk about. The first story is going to be about an Avenger standing up for streaming services. Next, we'll be revisiting the WWE Greatest Royal Rumble, and I put greatest in quotes, and we'll definitely talk about that. The next story, could Deadpool movies be done after Deadpool 2? We'll also talk about Facebook dating. The new Star Wars animated series, some new info's come out about that. And then also we'll be talking about MoviePass, because it's been a while on this program that we've talked about it, and there is a ton to talk about with them. The first thing I want to talk about is an Avenger standing up for streaming services. Elizabeth Olsen has spoken out about how important streaming services are for some movies. She said, quote, "I think theatrical releases should always happen for most projects. For some reason, I feel like Kodachrome, which is a new movie that she just had released on, or is going to have released on Netflix, it made sense to me for it to be on Netflix. It's the perfect place for it. I think it will get seen more because of it being on Netflix." Being someone that's traveled a ton over, the last few years, I've traveled to see some movies that weren't getting wide releases, and some of them ended up being really great. I think she makes a great point, and she makes a similar point to this. She says, quote, "It's not really going to be a service to the film if we just put it in a movie theater and it goes away in a couple weeks. I think being able to have a platform like Netflix for independent films, for television, for comedy, I just think that they are creating a larger audience for projects. I think that's very cool, end quote. So yeah, there's been many a times I've had to travel a long distance to see a movie, and sometimes they would come around us eventually and sometimes not. We have a pretty cool local theater around here called the Avon that gets what they call Avon movies, which a lot of times is the indie stuff. I know they ended up finally getting this movie, but my favorite movie from a couple of years ago, Hell or High Water, I was in Rosemont for Comic-Con, and I wanted to see that movie really bad. And then, so I had to go from Rosemont, and they had a theater around there that had it, but it was one of those fancy theaters that have the cushy seats, and they barely have any seats, and they had sold out all the times I could go to. So then I had to travel like 30-some miles south for the closest theater that had that movie, and I'm glad I did because it was the best movie that year for me. So I understand that it's a good thing if, say, the movie's not coming around here. I mean, great, don't get me wrong, I love going to the theater, but if the movie's not coming around here and they put it on Netflix, that's fantastic for me, because then I could just turn on my television instead of driving hundreds of miles to go see something. She also talked about being a part of Facebook Watch's first episodic series called Sorry for Your Loss. She said, quote, "That was something that was totally different. We're their first primetime show, so that's scary, but then we had to remember that there's a first at Amazon. I mean, when Amazon started doing original content, that sounded crazy. Well, that's where I buy my toilet paper. Why would I also watch an amazing television show on it? There's something that's scary about being part of a new streaming service that's still trying to get recognized." Despite her fears, Olsen does seem confident that if the material is good, people will watch it no matter where they see it, and I like her attitude about this. Again, I've seen too many movies get missed because people just didn't get a chance to see them. You know, and that's what I just love about streaming stuff, because you just never know. Even if, say, you know, a lot of the stuff like the limited release stuff gets put on to streaming later, you know, that a lot of people are going to see it that way. There was tons of movies I went and traveled to see, and then not a lot of people saw it, and then sure enough it pops up on Netflix, and that movie's great. So, you know, I like her attitude about this. She's not, you know, she's a little more, she's younger, and I think she understands that you almost need services like Netflix to be able to get your movies out there, because not every movie can go to every theater. And again, I see so much crap go wide release, and there's a lot of great stuff that gets passed up on, and it's sad. So I'm happy that, you know, at least one actor in young Hollywood has a great attitude about things like Netflix, you know, getting a chance to, you know, put their movies out there. I mean, I can't say I agree with everything they do, being that I just watched Adam Sandler's newest movie. So I can't agree with everything, but at least it gets that chance. And I look forward to seeing Netflix trying some different things, buying up some new movies, and hopefully they'll find some really good stuff that end up becoming some of the better movies of the year. And that way groups like Netflix and Hulu and them will get some clout in the industry and not be seen as like this, you know, this bastard kid or something. You know what I mean? I think Netflix has a place in this world and other streaming services. So I hate seeing them getting passed up just because they ain't in a theater. You know what I mean? So that's all I got to say about this one. Next, we're going to talk about WWE's The Greatest Royal Rumble. Okay, we're going to be talking about this in two different ways. First, as an event. Let's talk about it. I have to admit I didn't watch all of it. I only watched about half. When I got home, it was already about half over, and I was already tired. So I didn't catch the first few matches. I did read up on them. But the matches that I watched, the Greatest Royal Rumble was okay, but nowhere near great. The Reigns-Lesnar match was okay. but the botched ending ruined it totally. The 50-man Royal Rumble, despite a great showing from Daniel Bryan, it felt kind of off. Maybe it was a bit too much. I think maybe 30 is, because I know they did a 40-man one year, and it just feels a little long. But I think the biggest problem they had was there wasn't a ton of stories in the Rumble. There was a few, like Daniel Bryan, being number one and staying in there, and he breaking the all-time total record from Rey Mysterio, which, I mean, granted, you got 50 guys in a Royal Rumble, it's going to take a lot longer anyway. But then again, he did last. And like I said, some of the matches I saw were okay. The four-way ladder match for the Intercontinental title was probably the best match of the night. But I wasn't surprised by that, being who was in it. But really, the show itself felt like a glorified house show. But here, the biggest problem I have here is, to me, the whole thing felt like an overly exclusive political statement. Look, the arena setup was strange, first of all. And while I know the up-close seats at a wrestling event are usually expensive, but the close-up seats for this event seem to be only for the quote-unquote haves, if you know what I'm saying. Then there's a bunch of, and like these seats were like couches almost, and they didn't even go at an angle really at the corner post seats. There was, each side had rows of like these chairs and couches and stuff. And then there was a bunch of empty space behind them all around the arena. And then the arena seats looked like maybe they were for the have-nots. Those that couldn't afford the expensive seats. And the sad part about this was, as a wrestling fan anyway, a lot of the people in the front section, the haves section, seemed to be disinterested for a lot of the show that I watched. They were walking around. They were on their phones. Just things like that. They weren't paying attention. They weren't really into the show. There wasn't a lot of chants and everything. Granted, it's always hard to tell how the crowd is in an arena where the top is open, like an open arena. And this wasn't like a full open arena, but the top was open because they'd fire off some fireworks every now and then that you'd see. But really, even especially about halfway through the Royal Rumble match, the crowd was pretty much dead. And that was pretty sad as a wrestling fan, because this is supposed to be the greatest Royal Rumble. Once again, the word greatest in big sarcastic quotes. Some more problems, and we talked about this last week. Not only were women not allowed on the show, but they weren't even allowed to be at the event, or at least the performing women. Women were allowed to watch the event. So let me make that clear, because there were women in the crowd, but the performers were not even allowed to be there. Not even Stephanie McMahon, who is she's the most powerful woman in the company, practically the owner, because Vince is, revving up for his XFL stuff. So she'll probably be taking over pretty soon, but she couldn't even take part. Also, during the show, the WWE, and I knew this was going to be an issue the second I saw it. During the show, the WWE ran at least one promo, I think maybe they ran two, involving future shows with women's matches. I believe they were showing either something for Raw or for Backlash. I think it was for Backlash. And apparently, Saudi Arabia's Sport Authority felt they had to apologize to their public for the appearance of scantily clad women during a wrestling broadcast. And that's not even the only controversy to come from the show. In a segment that was supposed to make potential Saudi wrestlers look good, they had some tryouts and things throughout the week, and they had, I believe it was 4 or 6 guys in the ring that were potential Saudi wrestling superstars. So this segment was supposed to make them look good. Actually led to death threats for a pair of WWE superstars. Well, one current, one former. The Daivari brothers interrupted this segment that was supposed to be spotlighting these guys. They came in waving an Iranian flag and criticized Saudi Arabia before getting beaten down by the Saudi prospects. This was supposed to be similar to any other time in any wrestling ever, where characters who are from different countries or have, especially countries that are at odds with each other, it was just like any other time. Like you'd have your American characters fighting the Russians in old WWF or, any of that stuff. I was going to make the example whenever US fought Canada, but, that was more because Bret Hart they made Bret Hart a villain, but he was a hero still in Canada. So it's like any other time that any wrestling organization has done this, especially the WWF/WWE. But it apparently didn't go over very well. WWE superstar Arya Daivari had this to say after the event, quote, "Unfortunately, some people took offense to this segment despite it being pure entertainment. Some threats were made against my life. I wanted to put this statement out to clarify where I as a person stand compared to my TV character. During an appearance this past Friday, I portrayed a fictional character and played the role of the antagonist, no different than what other actors would do in a movie or TV show. That character does not reflect my personal views, and I apologize to anyone that may have been offended by the skit. I have an incredible amount of respect for the great people of Iran, and I am very proud of my Iranian heritage. Thank you." So yeah, that segment didn't go over too well, apparently. But we're still not done. Sami Zayn, who is arguably one of the most popular superstars in WWE right now, was not allowed on the show because while he's Canadian, he is also of Syrian descent, and Saudi Arabia has had strained relations with Syria since the start of the Syrian civil war in 2012. The WWE had to come up with a lame storyline to why he couldn't be there, and the Sammy is sick storyline fell flat with fans on the next Raw show. You could tell they knew it was BS, and they weren't too happy that he wasn't there. But we're not done. Apparently, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman requested that the WWE bring a host of wrestling's top stars to the event. Okay, I thought that was a given. But it's who they asked for that was strange. The first person they asked for, I can understand. They asked for The Undertaker. Okay, it makes sense. But then wanting the Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna might be a bit of a problem, being that they're dead and all. The WWE, I guess, felt they needed to supply a sumo wrestler, so Hiroki Sumi was added to the Rumble. Who's Hiroki Sumi? Yeah, I didn't know who he was either. Lastly, to no surprise, and I was wondering about this myself when I knew he was on the card, Finn Balor, who has been pushing for a long time for his character to be vocal about the inclusion of everyone, especially the LGBTQ community, into his Balor Club, had to be scrapped for just one day, just so he could be on the show and for that big chunk of Saudi money. Look, I love pro wrestling. I've been a fan of pro wrestling for ever. Since I was young, and WrestleMania 3 was, between 2 and 3 was where I, and really even around 1, because when Hulk Hogan became champion and they started selling toys, that's where I learned who Andre the Giant was, and I was a wrestling fan ever since. So I love pro wrestling. And I have to admit, and even they'd admit, pro wrestling hasn't always been an inclusive or respectable business all the time. But for the last few years especially, they've made some strides to do so. You know, they went from having the Divas division where, you know, in the Attitude Era it was bra and panties matches, to now you have probably the best women's division in wrestling ever. And there's more incredible women coming up through the ranks of NXT. And I just felt that, you know, them doing this, them accepting this money to do this event, to, you know, basically do what seemed to be propaganda saying how great Saudi Arabia is just for this huge paycheck, this event was a huge step back for them. You know, how can I take what they say seriously when all they would have to do is not accept the money and not go there? Unless some places change, and I know not that some of the places they go, there's probably rules and everything else, but this seems to be one of the worst things that they've ever had to do for a paycheck. You know, being told that certain performers can't perform, and they must not be that interested when they didn't even know some of the performers they wanted were dead. The fact that not everyone could be there, they'd have to change. I'm surprised they didn't make, you know, like Finn Balor had to change his character for a day. You know, he couldn't wear his rainbow colored Balor Club logo stuff to the ring. You know, because, well, he can be here, but he can't do that. You know, they should have said, look, if you want to change, if you want to consider change, look, this is who we are. But no, they took the paycheck, and part of it made me sick, you know. And you know, look, I'm cool with, you know, I'm not cool with their culture, but it's their country. They can do what they want. But if the WWE really wants to make quote unquote change, they need to have a damn backbone when it comes to some of this stuff. That if they had to change this much for the money and, you know, do all these things to bend over backwards just for this paycheck, they really need to think about who they want to be as a business. And they really better think about what messages they want to try to send out the rest of the time. You know, because them saying, you know, we're all inclusive now, this is going to be a huge asterisk on that. Wrestling reporter Dave Meltzer had a great take on the event, and he echoes some of the things that I've said, and then said some other things that really hits home to how a lot of people are feeling about this event. And I will post the link. It was, I don't know what podcast it was on. But I'll post the link to his comment and to the podcast that he was on in the video description below. Let's move on to something maybe more fun. Could Deadpool movies be done after Deadpool 2? Look, you would think that the answer would be no, because the first film and likely the new one that's coming out soon are going to be bank at the box office. But Ryan Reynolds, the actor, not my son, has teased that Deadpool 2 may be the last solo Deadpool movie. Reynolds told Entertainment Weekly, quote, "I don't know that there would be a Deadpool 3. I really don't. I feel like the character, in order for him to function properly within his own universe, you need to take everything away from him. I don't think that you can keep doing that," end quote. He did comment, though, that he said he's not saying he's done with the character. He said this, quote, "I do see him as being part of X-Force, obviously. I would love to see him in a team-up sort of thing, like a mano-a-mano or a great female character from the X-Men universe. I just think that if you're going to do another Deadpool solo film, you've got to really, get that budget down to nothing and just swing for the fences and break all kinds of weird barriers and do stuff that no one else can do," end quote. It is to be known that Reynolds is already part of the X-Force film that Drew Goddard will write and direct. Zazie Beetz and Josh Brolin are also already attached as Domino and Cable, respectively, so he is going to be part of at least one X-Force film. I have to think that this might be the best course of action, if only to just help keep the character of Deadpool fresh. His interactions with other characters is one of the best parts of the first Deadpool movie. Plus, this will help to keep Reynolds interested in being the character. If the whole movie isn't on his shoulders, it may keep him wanting to do it longer. He'd still probably be the standout of any movie he's in. So yeah, I think keeping him within X-Men or X-Force movies, I have a feeling that X-Force is going to keep the R-rated Deadpool thing going. X-Men probably won't. X-Men will probably be in the MCU, whereas an X-Force will probably be its own thing. If Deadpool is used in the MCU, which I doubt, they may do a team-up movie with him or something, and then I think the only one I'd want to see is Spider-Man or Wolverine, but those would be the only two I think they'd do. But yeah, I think they're going to keep introducing new characters and make X-Force a thing, and Deadpool will just be a part of it. That way, Ryan Reynolds won't be the only one carrying the franchise. They'll be able to have some new characters and introduce some new people. And I think Josh Brolin's probably going to knock it out of the park as Cable. I mean, he's 1 and 2 with comic book characters because it wasn't really his fault that Jonah Hex wasn't good, but he's amazing as Thanos, and I have a feeling he's going to be amazing as Cable as well. So yeah, do I think they'll be done with Deadpool movies? I'm going to say they'll probably get one more out of Deadpool. But then after that, it's probably going to be all team up or X-Force type movies for him, for that character anyway. Let's move on. Let's talk about Facebook, because Facebook's everyone's favorite social media site right now, right? Well, Facebook is getting into the dating game. Let me ask you this. How much do we really trust Facebook? You all know I'm not a huge fan of Facebook here on this channel. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced on stage at Facebook's annual developers conference called F8. Fate, really. I just got that. A dating feature to help people find relationships. He had this to say about those that have concerns about the new feature, because of course people are going to have concerns about anything Facebook does right now. Quote, "I know a lot of you are going to have questions about this. We've designed this with privacy and safety in mind from the beginning," end quote. Here is how some of this new feature is supposed to work. Dating profiles won't be visible to friends or appear in news feeds. It's an opt-in feature, so it's not going to be forced upon you that we know of. Users won't be matched with people they're already friends with on Facebook. And there's supposed to be a text-only private messaging inbox, which isn't connected to the Messenger feature or WhatsApp apps, which I don't even know what the WhatsApp app is. Look, it may not be connected to your friends list, but I imagine that it will work similar to Facebook's quote-unquote suggested friends feature. I don't know about you, but I can't even remember how many times Facebook has suggested people on that feature who know people that I know that I would never really want to be friends with, let alone want to date. Me personally, especially now, but it's always kind of been the case, I give Facebook as little information as I can as possible. And I would not want to give up more just for them to try to find me a date. Look, I'm divorced. I've been divorced since 2012. I've dated one time with one person ever since being divorced. I may be considered what you would call a bit of a lonely guy. I, haven't had much luck and love, obviously, but I ain't even desperate enough to trust Facebook in the arena of love. I take enough issue with them wanting me to pay for posts of mine that people should be already seeing. Is it going to turn out that they'll hold the woman of my dreams away from me unless I pay them for the information? Sorry, Facebook. You can keep this feature to yourself. I will not be opting in. Why? It's complicated. Next, I want to talk about a new Star Wars animated series. For a while, we knew that Disney had been holding on to the name Star Wars Resistance. A lot of people speculated that it was going to be the animated show that follows up Star Wars Rebels, and not in the way we thought. We know why now they held on to the name, but it's not going to be the continuation of the Ezra story. Is Ezra still alive and all that stuff? But we did find out this week that Star Wars Resistance will focus on the time period leading up to Star Wars The Force Awakens. The new series will follow the story of, and I'll probably butcher his name, Kasuda Ziano. Kasuda Ziano. Ziano is a young pilot recruited by the Resistance to spy on the First Order in a top secret mission. So it's kind of a spy thriller cartoon, it looks like. This is all we really have heard whenever it comes to what the show is about. I gotta say, though, I really like the idea. Just kind of a, undercover type thing. But if that doesn't sound cool enough, this whole thing gets even better. The show will feature the characters of Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma, and they will be voiced by Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie. And for those of you, if you're like me, thought that Gwendolyn Christie especially got screwed in the two movies and didn't get enough development, and they kept saying, well, there's going to be books and all. You know what? If she's going to be a main character in this cartoon, I am all for it. So yeah, we get Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie. BB-8 will also be featured. I mean, of course, he's with Oscar Isaac a lot. He's with Poe Dameron a lot in the movie, so of course it makes sense. He'll also be featured along with some other, quote, colorful new characters. So, hopefully they'll come up with some cool characters to work along with these. And it would also be kind of cool to see some of the characters that got maybe minor roles in The Force Awakens, some of the fighter pilots and stuff. So that would be kind of neat if they get to add those guys in. If handled with the same care as Star Wars Rebels, this could be a really cool companion show, as Star Wars Rebels was with the original trilogy, or at least setting up the original trilogy. A lot of the same showrunners and a lot of the same people behind Rebels are behind this show. That's a big positive. So get excited, Star Wars fans. It sounds like we got something really cool coming in the form of this cartoon. The series is expected to debut on Disney XD sometime this fall. So, not a lot of time to wait. Just got to get through the summer. So that's pretty cool. All right. It's been a while on this program, but we're going to talk about MoviePass. Let me just ask this question. What is MoviePass doing? After I recorded my program last week, and over the weekend, I started seeing all sorts of activity on Twitter about many different MoviePass subjects. And then throughout this whole week, I kept seeing stuff as well. And I'm going to try to break it down for you, because there was a lot of things that contradicted certain things. There's a lot of things that were introduced and people didn't like, and there was so much going on. So I'm going to try to cover what I could get out of all this. First is the new rules. Unlimited movies. Unlimited in quotes. Now apparently you can't see the same movie more than once. If you look at the app now, Anytime you've seen a movie, it kind of grays it out and it says, you've watched this movie already. And as a critic, I have a lot of those on my on my app now. Over the weekend and throughout the week, I have watched tons of customers lay into MoviePass for this. And MoviePass's response was that they were doing this to get people to see different movies. Here's my take on it. They may be trying to get people to see different movies, but here's what really, this is really what it is. They didn't see this happening. MoviePass learned its lesson when moviegoers went and saw Black Panther over and over and over again. And they didn't want the same thing to happen with Avengers Infinity War. I mean, think about the timing of when this stuff coming out. This new unlimited movies can't see the same movie rule came out. The weekend of Avengers Infinity War or the week before, somewhere around there. They know what they're doing. Having to take a picture of your ticket to prevent fraud. I don't really know why people are having issues with this feature. You buy your ticket and you snap a photo of it in the app and send it to them, and then the next day you can do your movie. Because if you don't snap the picture, it doesn't unlock your movie for the next day. But I've never had an issue with this. I've taken the picture and it goes. So, and then the next day, which of course there's a lot of times I do movies day after day after day, it works, and it works just fine. So I don't see the issue with this. I don't know, maybe people are just trying to get around the whole can only watch a movie once type of thing. And oh no, I can't cheat anymore and buy a ticket to, I don't know, what's a bad movie in theaters right now. You buy a ticket to that and then go see Avengers again, And then the next thing is this. Is the 1 day or 1 movie per day thing back or not? In the same week, I was reading articles saying that the 1 movie per day thing was gone for good. The company may never be able to bring it back, and then that it was back. And they're offering, the $9.99 or $9.95 a month thing again. Look, I know they're a new company, at least to most people, but they need to get their crap together. I'm going to look at this 2 different ways. One is a little more complicated and one's really simple. I'm going to look at it 2 different ways. First, I'm going to look at it as a critic. For me, if I can only see the movie once, that's okay with me. Now, it'd be nice if I could go see the same one again. If, say, I needed another look at it. But really, for me, it's not a big deal. But here's the thing. This was the policy ever since I could remember. Being that I've been with the company, I've had their service for a lot longer than others. I mean, I've been with them since the $40 a month days. I found out about this seeing the same movie more than once thing. I found out by accident. Like a month ago, I ran into a buddy at a movie theater, and he says, yeah, I've seen Black Panther like 4 times, like 3 or 4 times on MoviePass. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I seen, this is like my 4th time seeing it or 3rd time seeing it or whatever it was. And I was like, you can't do that with the ticket. You can't do that with MoviePass. You better be careful. He goes, well, I've never had a problem with it. So I contacted MoviePass, got a response really quick. People are saying stuff about the customer service. They are getting better. And they said, yeah, this hasn't been a thing since, the only being able to see the movie once thing hasn't been a thing for a while. And I can't remember what month they said. I'm like, well, the possibilities. And then, like I said, that was about a month ago, maybe. And now it's gone. So I can't really miss what I never really got to take advantage of. I never saw something more than once on MoviePass. I do have to say this, though, as a critic. If the 1 movie per day thing changes, if it goes away, that'd really hit me. Because long ago, like I said, back in the expensive days of MoviePass, they did try to change my plan into a 6 movies per month for $40 plan, which for me would still be a good deal. especially if movies are $10 a piece. You're still saving $20, but it would really hurt me with how many movies I could see during a month. Because as you guys know, I try to see just about everything. And $9.99 or $9.95 or whatever it is, I'll just say $10 a month. $10 a month to see everything once. For someone like me that does this, tries to do all the talking movies and all that stuff, it's a pretty good deal for me. Now, that's as a critic. As a moviegoer, this one's simple. MoviePass. Deliver on your promises and stop changing the plan. You may have had record growth ever since changing to $10 a month for unlimited movies, but the more you change the plan, the more people will not trust you. Hence all the angry messages on Twitter, Facebook, and everything else. You guys, they do these cutesy, MoviePass does these cutesy posts, right? And people lambast them on these posts talking about, I can't remember any off the top of my head, but they'll make some cutesy post and people will lambast them for changing the rules. They're more angry about the not being able to see movies over again. And I'm guessing it's people wanted to see Avengers 27,000 times. So I get it. As a moviegoer, if I was just a moviegoer, I would get it. Because I would expect them to deliver on their promises. But this is, again, the more you change the plan, the more people will not trust you. And the more of a chance of someone else swooping in with a similar plan, which puts you out of business. If MoviePass is not careful, someone else is going to come in with a similar plan and they're going to win. It's just like, streaming services taking over for pretty much the video store kind of thing. Or it's when, Blockbuster didn't think, I'll even go even further back with just video stores. It's when Blockbuster didn't think they had any competition and all of a sudden here's Hollywood Video, right? Everyone thought Blockbuster would probably win and be one of the last movie stores out there, as we old men call them. But now the only ones around us that I know of anyway are family videos. So, there's always going to be someone with a better business model. And if MoviePass isn't careful, someone's going to do something similar with better customer service, with sticking with their plan. It may cost a little more, but they may have a better deal overall. They'll give the people what they want, which is letting them see all the movies they want, the same movie if they want, and they're going to put MoviePass out of business. I'll just say this about MoviePass, though. Other than the crappy customer service that MoviePass had for a while, after they went to the cheap plan, because before the cheap plan, the customer service was some of the best customer service ever. You could contact them over the app. You could call them and talk to a person right away, but you could also contact them over the app, say something wasn't working, say your app didn't have a movie, say the movie you wanted to see wasn't there even though your theater is in the system and the movie should have been there, say that it was blank, or say you had an issue. You could text them through the app or contact them over the phone and talk to a person, and they would get you hooked up and you walk right in. The second they went to the $10, I wasn't getting responses from them for over a month. And I had, many a times they owed me money because the thing didn't work, because of course they'd reimburse your ticket. But now I have a phone number I can call. They gave me a phone number. I got through with a phone number I found by accident online. And they gave me a second number to use. So I have two ways to contact them. Plus, I've tried contacting them over the app whenever the camera wasn't working on the app and I had to take a picture of the ticket stub. And I would take a picture and I'd send it over the customer service app. And they got back with me right away, said, "Oh, nope, you're good. We got it and we put it on your system and you're good. You're good to go tomorrow." Cool. So yeah, they're getting better with their customer service, but here's the thing. Again, as long as they find a plan and stick with it, they'll be okay. But if they keep changing the plans, they're just gonna, yes, you may have had record growth, but you're pissing people off. Like I said, I haven't had any issues with it really. The occasional issue and it's gotten solved. But man, if they keep changing the plan, it's just going to piss off those couple million people they've got, or however many it is now. And they need to watch what they're doing. As long as the plan stays the same, I'm okay with them. I'm okay with one movie a month. But again, it's a different circumstance for me. Don't advertise something, get people to pay, and then take it away. That's bad business, and they need to figure out what they're doing and fix it real quick. That's going to be all for the big stories. Now on to quick hits. While I love the first movie, I'm not really a fan of this story. Happy Death Day 2 is going to be a thing. Jessica Rothe and others from the first film will return for the sequel, which will pick up where the first film left off in a Back to the Future-like style. Also, while I love the first movie, I'm not really a fan of this story. Happy Death Day 2 is going to be a thing. Jessica Rothe and others from the first film will be returning for the sequel, which will pick up where the first film left off in a Back to the Future-like style. Also, while I love the first movie, I'm kidding, I'm done. I'm only going to drag that on so long. Next, Netflix is going to be releasing a remixed season of the unpopular Season 4 of Arrested Development before the premiere of Season 5. It's supposed to be in more of a chronological order. Look, I'm sorry, but I could barely get through the season that you gave us and really don't want to watch it again, whatever order it's in. Season 4 really lost a lot of the magic that made the other 3 seasons work. If I give the show another chance, hopefully they can prove me wrong. Much to the dismay of Scarlett Johansson, I'm sure, Marvel is taking its sweet time in developing a Black Widow movie. Apparently, Marvel Studios have met with more than 65 possible directors for the movie. There is no real timetable to when this movie would come out, especially since it hasn't even officially been greenlit yet. Paramount thinks they've found their Star Trek IV director. S.J. Clarkson has been hired to helm the next movie in the new series. Clarkson is known for her work on such shows as Dexter, Orange is the New Black, Jessica Jones, and Marvel's The Defenders. There's no release date for the film as of right now. One of the best parts of the movie Rampage will again get to become a huge wrecking creature. Jason Liles, the mocap actor behind George the Gorilla, has been cast in Godzilla 2 as King Ghidorah. It has been said that he is going to be one of several motion caption actors behind the monster, which is a really interesting statement. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the behind the scenes of that movie. The synopsis has been released for The Predator from 20th Century Fox. It reads, quote, "From the outer reaches of space to the small-town streets of suburbia, the hunt comes home in Shane Black's explosive reinvention of the Predator series. Now the universe's most lethal hunters are stronger, smarter, and deadlier than ever before, having genetically upgraded themselves with DNA from other species. When a young boy accidentally triggers their return to Earth, only a ragtag crew of ex-soldiers and a disgruntled science teacher can prevent the end of the human race. We'll find out if this movie can recapture the magic for the franchise on September 14th of this year." Quentin Tarantino is claiming the Weinstein Company owes him over $4 million in royalties. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the director's lawyer has filed papers referring to, quote, numerous uncured monetary and non-monetary defaults, end quote, that he is owed before any sale is made. He is seeking $300,000 for Grindhouse, $575,000 for Inglourious Bastards, $1.25 million for Django Unchained, and nearly $2.5 million for The Hateful Eight. Other stars fighting for their royalties are Jake Gyllenhaal, Jennifer Lawrence, Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep, and others. YouTube Red's Cobra Kai will feature previously unseen footage from the original Karate Kid, as well as some scenes from the first and second movies. I've watched the first 2 episodes of the series, which are up for free on YouTube as of this podcast taping. I'm liking what I've seen so far. I may have to finally use that free YouTube Red trial to see the rest, because I ain't paying for it. Hasbro has bought the Power Rangers IP from Saban Entertainment for $522 million. Hasbro and Saban struck a licensing deal back in February, but Hasbro saw the potential of the property and decided it wanted to own the brand outright. This also lands a big blow to rival toymaker Mattel, who was making Power Rangers toys previously, and again bringing back the rumors that Hasbro may be buying out Mattel soon. And trying to get back on my good side, James Cameron has come out and said this about the uphill battle that sci-fi has with the Academy Awards. Quote, "The first time I noticed this was when I was just a movie fan and not a practitioner yet. When Star Wars, which to me was the ultimate science fiction film of its day, so this would have been 1977, probably the Oscars in 1978, lost to Annie Hall. This little cute relationship story and Star Wars. What the F are you people thinking? All movies are artifice. Movies are innately artificial. The truth underlies the artifact. The truth of what you're saying is the connection with the audience. Science fiction can do that like any other genre. It drives me nuts every year. There is science fiction that plays by the rules of good drama and that is important conceptually and that says something about our society and that has great characters. The Academy just has a blind spot about it. They'll award it technical stuff, but not the real stuff, not the acting." Look, I like what he's saying here, but let's just hope that he's not saying it because he has some Avatar movies coming out in the next few years. Mel Gibson wants his Daddy's Home 2 co-star Mark Wahlberg for his next directing project, the World War II film Destroyer. Not much is known about the movie or what role Mark Wahlberg will be playing, but the movie is based on the John Wukowitz book Hell from the Heavens, the epic story of the USS Laffey and World War II's greatest kamikaze attack. I somewhat angrily joked and predicted this story before, but now it's come true. The live-action Dora the Explorer movie, actress Isabella Moner, as you know, the underage actress that I feel Michael Bay over-sexualized in the last Transformers movie, has been cast as the title character. I don't know if I'm proud about that prediction or not. Thankfully, this movie is only being produced by Michael Bay and not directed by him, so now we can at least have a chance to get a decent movie out of this and not some weird Bayified version. Monner does seem to at least have a love for the character, according to some interviews with her about it, so hopefully that will help as well. Avengers Infinity War has passed up Justice League on the global box office in just 4 to 6 days, depending on which report you believe. 4 days, 6 days, no matter what it was. I bet Warner Brothers wishes they just would have copied Marvel's formula instead of rushing it, huh? As of the taping of this podcast, Avengers Infinity War has made over $800 million worldwide in 1 week. Needless to say, it's breaking too many records to count, and the movie hasn't even opened in China yet. I, for one, would love to see it overtake both the US and worldwide box offices. I'd love to see it knock Avatar off of that overpriced 3D perch it's been on for years. Whether or not this happens, I do know one thing. The only movie that is going to break the records that Avengers Infinity War is setting is whatever the next Avengers movie is going to be called. I'm still going with Avengers Endgame. According to Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige, we do know it's not called Avengers Infinity Gauntlet. And that's the end of Quick Hits. I'll give you guys a bit of a channel update as usual. As most of you know, I'm trying to do a new way to do movie reviews, more of an unscripted segment called Talkin' Movies. You can go on there right now, on the channel right now, and hear my reviews about Adam Sandler's new movie, The Week Of, as well as the movie Game Over Man, which stars the trio from Workaholics. Also, I'm continuing the segment Geno's Bad at Games. I've been doing a lot more shorter games, just kind of, one-night playthroughs. But I will be starting a larger game soon. I'm just trying to decide which one. I've got it narrowed down to like 3. So we'll see where I go with that. Also, as I've said before, I hit the 4,000 hours mark for reevaluation with YouTube. Said they get to me by the end of April, but now we're just playing the waiting game. So I probably won't mention it again until I hear back from them. I encourage you to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. You can follow both of those at the real Geno, REELGENO. I'm trying to build up an information base there just to kind of, let everyone know what's going on with the channel and everything. So in that way I can also, pass out information about what's going to be happening on the channel and things like that. So if you want to know what's going on in the channel, follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at the real Geno, REELGENO. I also want to draw your attention to a few other different things. The Geek Be Cubed YouTube channel, where my partner in crime and I, the Heisen Nerd, do a podcast called the GB3 Podcast. We're talking about moving the GB3 Podcast from twice a month to once a month, so we don't get burnt out. Because when we do those programs, we're both trying to do our podcast and our videos, and then we're planning 2 podcasts a month, and we want to try some other things, and so I think we're going to make the podcast once a month. We're still talking about that. I don't believe we're doing one next week, so I think we're taking a little break just to kind of figure out what we want to do. Also on the GB3 channel, you can hear the very spoilerific review that Bill and I did, the tag team spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War. Go ahead and check that out. We had a good time doing that one. Also, I think we're going to be doing some more Let's Plays and some other projects together, either on his channel or on the GB3 channel. Also, I encourage you that if you haven't already, check out Bill's channel. That's Heisen Nerd. It's HEISENERD. Bill does gaming live streams. He's playing, I believe it's Dragon Warrior 4 right now, because I know there's a new Dragon Warrior coming out. We also do we've done some tag team playthroughs. We played X-Men the other night, the arcade game, had a lot of fun doing that. And he also does a podcast called Heisen Nerd Speaks on his channel, and I encourage you to listen to that. I believe he's considered going to a bi-weekly version of it, just to kind of keep it fresh and not try to get himself burnt out on trying to do a weekly podcast. Because I, for one, can attest that doing a weekly podcast can be kind of tough to prepare. Because I'm telling you, I'm recording this on Thursday and I'm planning next week's tomorrow. At least getting it started. So, doing this podcast, especially all the stuff I'm trying to cover, sometimes isn't the easiest. It's fun, don't get me wrong. I love it and it's fun, but sometimes it's not easy. I want to thank you guys as always for the support on this channel. For those of you that really appreciate the channel and take the time to comment and listen and watch everything, I truly appreciate it. But I do want to address something. And, those of you know, again, I like to keep things cool on this channel. And last week on the podcast, I don't know if it's because of the talk I did for my uncertainty of how I feel about the Bill Cosby being convicted, or if it was because I ripped on James Cameron, or if because I talked about the problems I had with the WWE Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't know what it was, but in the comments, someone basically just put in there the phrase, "Oh, fuck you." Okay. Look, I'm cool with people speaking their mind on my channel. I have no problem with it. I want people to be able to comment and chat away. And those that do, most of us have a good time chatting away. We talk about, they listen to the program and they give their thoughts on what I talk about, and we talk about it, and it's great. And I love it. But here's the thing. I'm not going to apologize for my opinion. If you disagree with my opinion, or if you have thoughts on my opinion, I 100% want to hear what you have to say about it. If you have a problem with it, if you disagree, if you want to state your own case or whatever it is, whatever it's about, I want to hear it. Here's the thing. Be cool. I will discuss any topic that I talk about on this program. I'll talk about it. I want to talk to you about it. I want people to comment on this stuff. And those that do, there's some that comment every week, and I love it. And I appreciate it. And that's what I want. I want to talk to people. But be cool, man. I don't want this to be a troll channel. If that makes me unpopular on YouTube, I don't care. I don't want this to be a troll channel. And I'm probably asking for it by saying this right now. But I'm going to address everybody like I addressed this person that said fuck you last week. Okay? I'm going to address it like I did with them. We will talk about anything you want to talk about. Do you have a problem with something I said? Would you like to talk about it? I'll talk about it. But we're going to be cool. We're going to be respectful, because that's the kind of channel this is. We're here to have fun. I want this to be a fun channel. I ain't about the drama. I ain't about the BS. I've had people wonder why I haven't talked about certain subjects that I may or may not know things about. It's because, you know what? I'm here to just have a good time. And I'm here to talk movies and other things with people. Movies, games, whatever's happening, whatever we talk about, whatever I talk about on this program, I want to talk about it with everybody. I do. But you got to be cool, man. If me being, keeping things cool and not, I may mess with a troll every now and then. I remember a review I did on the last Wimpy Kid movie, and I got cussed out by somebody. They called me a bunch of names, and I asked them if I could use that as my new nickname. I may mess with a troll every now and then, but, if you just want to come on here and be angry, this ain't the place for you. I want everyone to be here, that wants to be here. If you just want to come here and fight for no reason other than to fight, then you're on the wrong page, man. I'll address it once, and then I'll either ignore you, or if you're going to be mean, you're not going to be here. If you want to be here, and you want to be cool, and chat away and have a good time, that's what YouTube should be. You're welcome here if that's what you want to do. And those of you that do this already, you know how it is. You're cool. And that's what kind of site this is. This ain't a site about starting a bunch of crap. We talk cool. We respect each other. If we disagree, we talk about it. I'm here to have a good time. And I hope if you're on this channel, you're here to have a good time too. If you don't want to have a good time, if you just want to be mean, I don't want to sound horrible here, but if you're here to be mean, don't be here. If you're here to be cool, you're welcome with open arms, and I respect any opinion you have, and we can discuss it. That's all I really got to say about that. I just want people to be cool. I want YouTube to be cool again. When YouTube became this website for, where it seems like the more hateful you are, the more profitable you are. I've never made a dime on YouTube, I just don't get it. I thought YouTube was a place for fun videos, interesting videos, different viewpoints. And I know it ain't all that, because I know some people put some pretty bad stuff on YouTube, that shouldn't be on here, and that sometimes gets kicked off. But I've always wanted YouTube, for me, to just be a place to come have fun. And that's what I want my channel to be. If you don't like it, well, you're in the wrong place, pal. If you're cool with being cool and just having a good time, welcome to the party. But again, that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Get on the Mic. I hope you guys join me for the next episode. This weekend, I know tonight I'm going to go see David Tennant's Bad Samaritan. I'm not going to be able to get to see Tully or Overboard until I think Sunday or Monday. I've got to work this weekend, so I won't be getting into those movies real quick. And on Friday, I can't go to one because I'm taking my son on his birthday trip. So, I'll be getting to see a show of a different kind. And, I don't want to say it on this, because if by chance he does get to hear this, One, hopefully you don't hear me say the F word for quoting the person in the comments. And two, I don't want to spoil a surprise. I may talk about it on next week's program, depending on how it goes. It should be a good time. It's based on the show we're going to is based on a cartoon that me and him both actually enjoy. So we'll talk about that probably next week a little bit on the program. So anyway, guys, those of you that love being here, thank you for being here. I love you guys back for listening, and just thank you so much for listening and having a good time with me and help keeping this fun. So anyway, until next time, I'm the real Geno Reynolds. Peace.